We are Cactus Wrestling. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos.
Cactus Wrestling is now available on Spotify and Amazon. And don't forget to check us out on Etsy for all of your Cactus Wrestling apparel needs.
Welcome back to Cactus Wrestling. Here we are. We shall now be recapping Cliff Keen, Las Vegas, 2024. It's always it's probably one of the biggest tournament.
Besides NCAA's, yeah. I
Yeah,
would say well, things like Midlands used to be huge, things like the Southern Scuffle used to be huge, and I feel like even Cliff Keen is now making a comeback because there was years where, guys like, yeah, I'm not going to that, like we're gonna send our B team or we're gonna send a partial team.
right.
If you're CSU Bakersfield, you send everybody but one.
Yeah, everybody but the one guy that arguably could win the bracket
Well, we probably wouldn't have, that's why I didn't go.
or could potentially lose to someone. But we'll get there when we get there.
We'll get there when we get there.
Yeah, so starting off at 25, I mean there was some turbulence, but not a ton. Um, I mean Caleb Smith had a tough time with Wagner Binghamton.
Yeah, those Binghamton wrestlers are pretty tough.
I always love shining a light on Binghamton.
I
Uh,
was feel
Tanner
like
Jordan, huh?
I was gonna say, I feel like we kind of saw a return to like the better Eddie Ventresca that we hadn't seen in a bit.
Yes, yeah. It seems like Eddie Ventresca of last year must have been injured, like every single
Something had to
match.
be up.
Yeah, like something had to have been going on because I feel like he is the Ventresca that we thought he was going to be last year.
Yeah.
And like, 'cause, yeah, he really just came storming on. Like Tanner Jordan knocks him off 8-5, follows that up with a tiebreaker win over Caleb Smith to make the finals. Like, it's a very impressive performance by Eddie
Yeah.
Ventresca. Much better than I think most would think that
I
was
think
going to
the
come from him.
the seeding was pretty good for this as well. I think all top eight made the quarters.
Yeah, no, yeah, there was no, yeah, it was exactly that. There was no upsets in that respect. I was a little disappointed that Vincent Robinson got injured
Yeah.
in his
Match
round
with
16 match. He was kind of limping in the third period despite getting a major. 'Cause I
now
really wanted to see him wrestle Matt Ramos.
well, that's what I was gonna say. Is he got hurt wrestling Navarro?
Yeah, Navarro.
Navarro from Northwestern.
Yeah. So,
So yeah, I mean Vincent Robinson has been like, one of the big hot names. Um, I kind of feel like he's still underrated in the sense that like I think he's only like a top. I want to say Flo has him at 16.
yeah.
And I think that this is a guy, if healthy, is a serious All American threat. You
I
know,
mean, I had him as my way too early champions.
yeah. I would have loved to have seen how he wrestled against Matt Ramos, especially when we saw that Matt Ramos ended up winning the whole bracket over the kind of back to himself Eddie Ventresca.
Yeah, yeah. And Ramos also got the win over Spratley in the semis. And
And
so
Spratley's tough. I
um
mean,
yeah, he's a round 12 guy. Like,
that Oklahoma State team is looking really, really good.
I mean, yeah, just you mentioning that we should switch over to the team score where, first place and second place was separated by what was that, 77 points.
Yeah,
They placed all 10 guys in the top five, and they had eight in the top three, five of which were finalists. Like,
it's
that
insane.
is such a stamp on it. Like, David Taylor effect in full swing, for
100%.
sure. Like,
You
that
know,
is killer performance.
it's funny because I think that when David Taylor first was like, oh, I'm going to go to Okie State, you had people like, okay, well, how much of a difference will it make? John Smith is quite the legend himself.
Yeah, I
But I
think
think we're seeing already, like, look at what David Taylor has done in, an incredibly short time. I mean, it's the second week of December.
right.
Like he has these guys looking great. I mean, and we'll get to, more Oklahoma State wrestlers as we talk about the rest of these brackets. But man, like
Well,
they
so
look ready to compete.
here's for comparison. This year, Oklahoma State scored 192 points.
Mhm.
The second place team took was Nebraska with 115, Ohio State third, 110 and a half, Virginia Tech fourth with 90. Last year, the first place team was Iowa State with 130 and a half, then Nebraska with 125 and a half, Ohio State with 123 and a half. Fourth place was NC State with 115. Oklahoma State last year was in ninth with 78 and a half points,
Yep.
and they only placed 3 guys.
Yeah.
So like they just
More than doubled their score.
yeah, over 100 points more, like 114 points more. Like that is a real stamp on the weekend.
As a big Penn State guy, I thought it would be, Oklahoma State they're gonna rival Penn State, but I kind of figured it'd be like a 2, 3 year thing, kind of like we saw Kale do well in his first seasons as a coach. But like,
Mhm.
okay, it takes a little time to really build that foundation and your crew that you want to work with. But man, I really think it's gonna be a much closer team race than
Yeah,
uh than maybe I would and maybe other people were predicting as well. And not that I'm saying they're gonna win, but I think, man, like if I'm Iowa, I gotta be a little worried.
yeah, no, for sure. Because like some of these like Oklahoma State guys that started last year, like I was thinking like, they're gonna be
Yeah.
basically the same as last year. But like just moving up to 133, Reese Whitcraft
Yep.
gets pinned by Homan in the first round, and then he wins all the way until uh fourth place. Like he goes on like a 5 match win streak. One,
And
two,
loses in a dogfight,
yeah,
literally in overtime to Nick Bouzakis, like an
yeah,
All-American.
yeah, exactly. And like he was dominant on his way to Buzakis. Like he won 8-1, 10-3, med forfeit, but 10-2, 14-4. Like he really was
They're
way
just,
more
yeah,
dominant, scoring so many more points than I was expecting that he would be capable of. Like I really think David Taylor's making a big impact on a lot of these guys.
yeah. I think it's very much Penn State-esque where it's like, hey, like we're gonna go out, we're gonna wrestle hard, we're gonna wrestle for the entire time, we're gonna have fun, and we're gonna score a ton of points.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think that, the formula that we saw for Penn State, that's like, well, how are they so good? I think we're seeing David Taylor take a lot of that to Oklahoma State. And,
Hmm.
you know, I think the more time he's there, the more time he'd be like, okay, a guy like Alex Facundo, where does he transfer to potentially? Why not Penn State light at Oklahoma State with the coach that he's already familiar with the coaching staff he's already familiar with?
Yeah, very possible. Yeah, and 133 really did have a lot of kind of craziness, a lot of
Yeah.
upsets here. Like you got Dylan Ragusin, the 1 seed. He
Loses to Van D.
he gets 2 techs, and then yeah, Jacob
He
Van D's the guy that beats him. That's
he
not what
looked
I would have
great
expected.
up until the Van D match. Like,
Yeah, you can't even argue like, oh, he was just having an off day. Like, what? No, no, no.
and
Freaking
then what's crazy is Van D then loses his next match in the semis to
Zeth
freaking
Romney.
Seth Romney of all people.
Well, of all people, that you mean the
Well,
CKLV
that's what I was gonna say. Is like then it
champion.
continues on. You get I I thought Tyler Knox was gonna beat Evan Frost. I did.
I knew Frost was gonna beat Knox. Honestly, I watched Shablov blow it against
Yes,
Frost in the
with
court.
literally 1 second left in a
It was
controversial call.
he was up 10-1. And honestly, the pin call, that's the
Yeah,
controversial
that's
call.
the controversy right there. I
Like
don't. Yeah.
I mean, not that like, oh, it was a buzzer beater call. It was like,
Was he down?
is that
Was his
really
shoulder
a
down?
pin? Um, and Frost had a huge celebration after that. I mean, even the match before that, Frost had won 16-10. Like Frost really was not looking that great. I know I've been high on Frost, but like watching him at this tournament, yeah, he took second, but like
It was not maybe not the
not
best second.
not as impressive as a performance as I thought he was gonna have. But like despite the Chablov match, I knew that he was gonna still beat Tyler Knox. I didn't think Romney was gonna be the one that knocked him off in the finals, like, but at the same time, I'm not exactly
Yeah, I
surprised.
was, you know, not
Romney
the guy
looked
that I
good.
was
I
expecting.
watched some of that, some of the clips from that finals match, and like Frost definitely was getting just like one of the takedowns. Like he got Frost to like take a couple stumble steps forward, and he was able to get behind him for the takedown. So like Romney was looking real sharp. I mean, if you look at the hit list that he
Yeah.
acquired in this tournament, he beats Frost, he beats Van D, he beats Buzakis, he
Yeah,
beat
that was big, the Buzakis match.
yeah, like that was a solid performance for him. And then like
I mean, even Derek Cardinal took seventh. I mean, he ends up beating Ragusin. I mean, if you told me Ragusin was going to take eighth after making being the one seed and teching his way to the quarters, I would have said there's no way.
yeah, no, it's and he did beat up Ragusin. It was 12-5. It's
Yeah.
not like
Yeah.
Ragusin
Yeah. It wasn't
said,
close.
"Oh, I'm going to med forfeit out." No. Ragusin lost 3 times in this
Yeah.
tournament. Like, what? Who is this guy? And um another like yeah, he Buzakis beat him 13-6. Like another one that you would have thought might have done better was Brett Unger.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I was kind of
Wasn't
big on
exactly
Brett.
shocked that he didn't do
No,
great, but like
he was somebody that I liked in high school, and I thought, was a solid wrestler. But, watching him kind of lose to like guys like Jax Forrest and
mm,
again, it's tough because Jax is obviously a great wrestler, but I was like, huh, I thought a high prospect going to one of the top schools would do well, and I feel like he hasn't quite made the jump in college that I thought he might have.
mm,
So I thought he was kind of like that last season too, though.
yeah. That's fair. That's
I
fair.
mean, who knows? I mean, it's December.
That is very true. Moving on up to 141, we had some interesting things happen here. You got Josh Coderhant doing
Wow, what a tournament for Cotterham.
doing pretty solid here work here. He beats Lemley. He has an 8-6 match with Mendez.
He gave Mendez all he could handle, honestly.
Yeah, that was
That was
nice.
brutal. Like he really, you know, he gave Mendez all he could. I mean, he got two stall points on Mendez in the last 46 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. You got stall points on freaking Mendez, the national champ. You managed to pull off getting him to stall against you. 2 points worth. That's an impressive feat for sure. I mean, also Mendez put together a pretty good tournament here. The guys that he beat, like he beat Jacob Frost, who took fifth. He beat Josh Coderhans, who took fourth. He beat Sam Latona, who took sixth. And then in the finals, he beat Tegan Jameson. Like he beat the only guy that he didn't beat that finished in the top six was Brock Hardy. And that's because Brock Hardy lost to Tegan Jameson in the other semifinal, which I never would have thought possible.
Yeah, well, we talked about like the Nebraska team where like these guys could be so hit or they could be so miss.
But I didn't
And
think Brock Hardy was that kind of a miss guy. But then again, this is this the David Taylor effect? Because like Tegan Jameson taking second at the CKLV, like that's a real solid performance there, if I don't say so myself. Um, like I mean, that's way better a performance than I
you
was
would, yeah,
expecting.
chalk
Plus,
it up to David Taylor effect.
because guess what? CKLV 2023, Brock Hardy taking Jameson. They wrestled in the quarters. Brock Hardy beat him 4-0.
Yeah. I think that, you have a room that's now like firing on all cylinders, and even if they're not physically better, they're maybe more mentally confident in their abilities.
Oh, although Tegan Jameson did then beat Brock Hardy 13-5
Mm.
for fifth. Wow. Tegan Jameson beat him last year. I'm shocked by that.
I was surprised Coderham lost in the consies, like for third. I thought he would
Oh, to
win.
Brock Hardy, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and what were you surprised with Sergio Lemley? Really didn't have a great tournament. And Michigan in general didn't seem like they were, that great.
Yeah, I feel like Lemley's not overrated, but like I feel like he's not quite as good as everyone says he is.
I mean, what was it? It was for seventh. You had four seed Sergio Lemley versus three seed Cale Happel. and it was a medical forfeit that Lemley won. But
Yeah.
do you
Uh,
want to talk about at 41 as well? We saw who do we have? None other than Mr. Valencia.
oh, Aiden.
Yeah. So Aiden Valencia in a dogfight with Sergio Lemley, you know, gives up the escape and a stall point in the third period, loses 2-0. Like, okay, well, Sergio Lemley's great. How it goes sometimes. Let's see how he bounces back. And then immediately he has Cale Happel,
Oh yeah, that's a
who wins in overtime.
that. Oh shoot.
So Aiden Valencia goes 0-2.
But
And now we
Kale,
don't like how much data do we get from him?
Yeah, Kale won until he medical forfeited DeFrost. So
Yep. So, it's like, could we have seen Aiden Valencia have gone on a run potentially?
maybe. I mean, it sounds like he probably was at the caliber of where he should have been on the podium.
Yeah, I mean, he loses to two guys that were on the podium and potentially could have been, I would say, anywhere from fifth to eighth.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I think that's probably accurate where he would have fallen had he the bracket lined up slightly differently for him. Um, instead of getting those two really tough opponents right out the gate. But yeah. All right, moving up. 149.
Caleb Henson.
Caleb Henson still looking lights out. Really, really tough.
Yeah.
Um, was a bit surprised by the David Taylor effect of Carter
Carter
Young.
Young. He was something
Having-
that actually I was thinking about the other day where as a high schooler he beat who did he beat? National champion in freestyle.
Oh,
Um,
it was at that freestyle. It was like the World Team Trials or I think it was Seth Gross. He beat.
yeah, it was Seth Gross, that's right.
And
And
I
I
think he
was
beat
like,
Seth Gross and Nashawn Garrett in the same tournament.
and Flo put out a thing like high schooler beats national champion and college national champion. And it's like, I feel like I just haven't heard a ton about Carter Young ever since then. I feel like he was the next big thing,
That's what I
and I'm
thought.
thinking like, whatever happened to Carter? And here he is in a super close match with Caleb Henson. Caleb Henson's first, he wins his first two matches by tech, cruises through it. Then he's in a dogfight with Carter Young, 6-3 wins, and then he pins in the semis against Jaden Abbas.
Yeah, yeah.
So
And,
like,
and then he beats Ridge
he's
in the
right
finals.
there.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's right there. Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I was very impressed with Carter Young. Because like he has just faded into obscurity up till this point.
Mhm.
And I mean, seems like he's yeah, Conti semis, he loses to Echemendia 4-2.
Yep.
Like that's
Esmendia, I mean, like that's a great wrestler. Like huge upper body guy, big thrower, big point scorer.
and speaking of Echemendia,
He
he
love it a match.
blew it to Love against Lovett.
Yep.
The funny thing with that match against Lovett, I saw
The coaches,
he got a takedown and then
they were
Lovett
like,
was working on a reversal. If he had just bailed and gave up the reversal, he'd probably
yep.
win the match 6-4.
Yep.
But
I mean, his coaches were even like, cut him. Like they were the whole match. They're like, don't even, love it's so dangerous from referee's position. They go, if he gets on top of you, you're screwed.
yeah, because like it was literally like a reversal, and Etch tried to hold on to this position, and he
Mhm.
managed to get him on the back and got the back points. And then, like all you had to do was just bail and like go belly down, and I don't think Lovett was going to turn him in 10 seconds. So he Etchemendia really blew
Yeah.
that match.
And
Uh,
I think if they match up again, I would say maybe Etch makes those adjustments and it's like, dude, I'm just gonna wrestle for my feet. Why even but again, like we've had this same talk about him before,
yeah,
where it's like, dude, like stop trying to ride people. You blew it to Parco. Same way, um don't, just stay with your offense.
right. But what I also can't believe happened is third, fourth place, Etchemendia. gets pinned by Jaden Abbas.
Well, Abbas is like one of those crazy like hit or miss guys. I mean, he beat K-Sac last year, and then not much happened after that. But yeah, he was winning. He gets. I was surprised he took him down. Like
Uh,
I didn't think Etchemendy
I
would get taken
watched
down
the
by Abbas.
takedown. Etchmandia gets in on like a front headlock to like a high crotch, and Abbas immediately does like a dive for the ankle, roll through, and gets Etchmandia on his back. It's this funky. It was a funky thing. I don't think Abbas repeats pinning him
No.
because that was kind of like a more obscure thing that happened, but like still, even so. Um, I mean, I was very unimpressed with Ridge Lovett.
Yeah. I mean,
2-0 win over Sammy Alvarez, come from behind win against Etchemandia, and then I never really felt like he was
in the match per se. I mean, it was
like,
sudden victory, but like, yeah,
yeah, but like I never really felt like Henson was at risk of losing. Like it
I
was
can
close
understand
and
that.
all, but like I didn't think he was gonna. Oh yeah, love it. Should have won that. Like it was. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I think Caleb Henson is pretty clear as one of the top guys, and I don't know if I would put Ridge Lovett in that conversation. I feel like he could be. He has been, but you know what we've kind of, at least my opinion is, you're only as good as your last match, and Ridge had good seasons a while ago, but I don't know if he's at that level right now.
right.
Um, but who knows? It's like we said, it's December.
Yeah, yeah. No, yeah. It's still early. All right, moving up. 157. Talk about Nebraska. Antrell Taylor
Yeah.
making
We
some
said
noise.
this though, we said Antrell Taylor is going to be a problem when we saw him wrestle Mitch Messenbrink.
Yep, yep. Especially since he's down a weight class too.
Yeah.
And
And he's apparently feeling pretty good.
yeah. No, and his his finals match with Ryder Downey was a dog fight. Um, I mean that was a pretty good match. He beat Patty Gallagher 4-1. He had a crazy 15-11 match with Michigan, Chase Saldate.
Yeah, Michigan State now. Oh no, no. Oh
No,
no, formerly
no.
Michigan State.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's so strange to me.
Yeah, no, now he's Michigan. Joey Blaze with the upset, huge upset over Peyton Keller.
Keller. Yeah.
And he had a nice close match with the Ryder Downey. Joey Blaze is definitely I feel like an all-American threat.
Yes, for sure. I mean, Blaze got hurt in the Downey match, I believe, and he ended up medically forfeiting out. So,
Right.
who knows how good he would have, he could have made, possibly made the finals.
I mean, if you beat Ryder Downey, I mean, yeah, you could have been right there with Trelly. Um, Caleb Fish lost to Chumbly, but then decided, oh, that's all I'm gonna do with the losing thing, and he went on a 5 match win streak, 6 match win streak, including majoring Chase Saldate, blanking Paniro Johnson 11-0, and then Patty Gallagher, of course, met forfeits, but um
Yeah, I mean,
like Caleb Fish. I feel like being at Oklahoma State is definitely helping him for the most
he's
part.
he's got to be the guy at 57, I imagine.
Yeah, Teague Travis must be down and out. So, honestly, I was hoping for more from Pinheiro.
Yeah, I think we kind of talked about that, like
I mean,
especially
he
given,
looked as good as Ja'Cory Teamer did, so I was hopeful that he was going to be, an entity here. But yeah, I don't know.
yeah,
Getting majored 11-0 to Fish.
yeah, winning in tiebreakers to Stanford and then losing to Patty Gallagher as well. Like,
Yeah, losing Patty Gallagher 2-1. Like, I mean, not a
I
great
mean,
look.
if Hippolito wrestled his last match, he might have finished eighth and would have gone 2-3.
Yeah, so impressive.
I just and it makes me wonder again with getting back to Iowa because Gallagher was wrestling with Teamer in a pretty competitive match before he got hurt. Is
Right.
Teamer maybe even if he's healthy, is he maybe not as good as we think right now? I mean, I don't know. I it's kind of why I've given so much love to KSAC, where I'm like, yeah, I really think he could do it this year, especially barring injuries and who's in and who's out. But
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's definitely in the conversation. I'm not sure if I'd necessarily say he's the front runner, but he's definitely in the conversation. Um, so all right, let's move up 165. So, Sammy Sasso, what a guy.
yeah, bad day for Sammy Sasso.
Loses to Britt Wilson. Say, whoa.
Yeah,
6-4.
well, good for
Yeah,
Nebraska.
not exactly what we would think. So yeah, the
Yeah,
seeds
Bubba.
just really weren't. I mean,
Yeah, the seating here was interesting. I mean, Peyton Hall won, Hunter Garvin four, Amin six, Sasso two. I mean, the one
Bearclaw
big, well, yeah, I was at Bear Claw.
Bearclaw
Really,
lived up to his seed. He ended up taking third.
yeah, he did the long route by saying, I'll lose my first match and then I'll just win the next, seven or whatever he won.
Including beating Sammy Sasso 5-0.
Yeah. Well, that's it. He won.
And he doubled down on beating Garvin a second time.
He beat wow, he actually beat a lot of good guys.
And Britt Wilson. Like, yeah, he like
He beats Brock Mantanoa, Hunter Garvin, Bubba Wilson. Um,
so not to call the loss a fluke, but I feel like
yeah, I think that probably wouldn't happen twice.
yeah, like I feel like yeah, exactly. He gets a rematch with that guy, what's his face? Thompson.
Thompson.
Yeah, if he gets Thompson again, I don't think Thompson's gonna beat him again. I mean,
I get
Thompson's pretty solid. He beats
yeah.
Marklaw and loses 4-1 to Cam Amin. That's a pretty good performance there. And then he gets teched by Mantanona. MJ Gaitan in at 165, got the 5 seed. Had a real tough one with Columbia, then got teched by freaking Hunter Garvin. So,
Yeah.
despite being down a weight class, maybe he's not gonna do so great. And then he med forfeited the next match to Hofstra.
Mm.
Um,
He probably could have won that one.
maybe he got hurt against Garvin, and that's why he got teched. But
Could be.
um, yeah, I don't know what happened there.
What's funny is the guy Thompson that beat Bearclaw got teched by Mantanona, and then
Ugh.
Bearclaw wins 4-1 over Mantanona.
Yeah, exactly. So like I feel like that was kind of a fluke loss for Barraclaw. It's a shame that Barraclaw lost because now he can't go for Hodge.
Yeah. How about Cam Amin kind of returning to form?
Oh yeah, bet yeah. I mean, beat
Mm-hmm.
Thompson, he beat Wilson, who beat Sasso, then
Wrestled
had,
well, it's
then had
Cam
the
Amin,
overtime.
Cam Amin's a multiple time All-American. Like
Yeah,
maybe last year was a bit of a fluke for him, but maybe he's kind of finding his footing again with Oklahoma State.
yeah. I mean, he had the overtime match in the finals with Peyton Hall, and
Yeah.
no, this is like the most consistent he's been, I think, ever.
Mhm.
Usually I feel like he was like all over the place, but this year he's looking solid.
Yeah.
Um so anyhow, moving on up 174
This was
South Dakota State for the not looking so great. Uh
no.
yeah, Cade DeVos got
Yeah.
upset 10-7 by Garrett Thompson.
Oh,
Yeah, that was not on my bingo card.
yeah, especially like he wrestled pretty competitively with Levi until Levi kind of opened it up at the end of the match. But he was someone that I thought would not win this easily, but I thought he'd make the finals for sure. I was actually looking forward to seeing him versus Hamity.
Yeah, but clearly he had other plans. Because not only that, in the consolations, Danny Wask of Navy beat him
Yeah.
11-7.
Wask is tough though. I've said that before.
Yeah. No, yeah, he is. But
But
like,
then, Wask gets majored 9-0 by Brevin Casella
yeah, that's wild.
in the for fifth. Yeah, DeVos finishes eighth. Like he didn't even med forfeit out. Like he continued to wrestle and lost again to Jared Sema of Northern Iowa.
Yeah, just not a good tournament for
No.
South Dakota State's DeVos, and he's like their best guy,
Yeah.
I feel like.
Um,
Anyhow, speaking of Hamity,
yeah.
he was
Looking good.
bonus his way to the finals.
Looking good.
Looking yeah, sublime. Like,
Sublime.
yeah, he's looking terrific. I mean, and so was Lorenzo Norman. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I was pretty surprised at how close that finals match was against Hamity.
Mhm.
Um, and like how competitive it was. So kudos to him. To I mean, he did beat Shane Griffith last year. So I think he's gonna definitely be in an All-American threat for sure. And like I thought or said in the way too early video, I think Hamidy's gonna be the title contender. So
Yeah. Yeah. How
he's
about Lenny
looking great.
Pinto makes the quarters, loses to Simon Ruiz, and then doesn't place.
Yeah, I mean we did
He
mention that we thought that
defaulted out, I
this could
believe.
be Pinto's downfall. Yeah.
Yeah, so he, loses to Jared Sema, who ends up taking eighth
Right.
in his
Yeah.
first Consi match. I mean, we talked about Pinto looks great, but he goes 1-2.
Yeah, realistically, that's not good at all.
No. And he was the 3 seed.
Yeah, like especially yeah, you're the three seed and you go 1-2. That's not an impressive performance.
No.
Brevin Casella, however, I think did fairly well there, you know.
Mm-hmm.
He beats Oregon State. He beats Aiden Riggins, former Iowa wrestler starter,
The rig.
who majored Adam Kemp, the guy that took down Carter Starachi at last year's NCAAs.
So by the associative property,
Yeah.
Casella is going to beat Carter.
Yeah,
He goes if Carter was at 174.
yeah, if Carter was at 174. Even though Hamity techs Casella, but still.
Yeah.
Um, that was definitely a good day for Casella. Um,
Yes.
not a crazy nothing besides what we've mentioned was too crazy here. Again, just Oklahoma State looking real good as always. 184
This kind of went exactly how I expected this bracket to go, at least for the finals.
except for, South Dakota State. Bennett
Yeah.
Berge.
Well, he took third.
But he got upset by Dean in the quarters 4-3.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was not
Um,
exactly as expected.
we've been told that like we don't give South Dakota State enough credit by some
And,
comments.
and
And
yes,
times like this where it's like, well, what do
maybe
you want us to say?
you did not do well.
Yeah. Because then Seth, what's funny is how so Seth's shoemate texts Dean in the consies to go to the third place bout against Berge, and then he gets majored 14 to 8, I mean 18 to 4. Like almost a tech.
Yeah, that doesn't.
So I'm like, how does this happen?
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, that's yeah. How is that a tech?
It's just there's so many weird losses that these guys take. And I think that's why I love the tournament setting over duels, is that like, anything can happen in these tournaments. And you got to
Yeah,
wrap each match. I mean, some guys, I know it's a classic, like, oh, okay, I have so and so in the quarters, but like, who am I going to have in the semis? And
yeah,
you're looking ahead. And I'm sure, Bergie was probably thinking, like, okay, what's my plan for Dustin Plott? How am I going to beat him?
mhm,
And he was overlooking Dean, and he lost. And then Dean had a real close match with Dustin Plott.
yeah, yeah.
But
Very competitive. Will Ebert, although seeded seventh, did not place.
it
So
happens sometimes, it's
beat Edmund Ruth, but And
He was
again,
up here, and he's going to be down here for a little bit. He's going to work his way back up.
yeah, yeah. Jaden Bullock took eighth with three losses. I was pretty high on Bullock at the end of last year at NCAAs and whatnot. So far this season, he's definitely been extremely underwhelming.
Yeah.
Um, so little disappointed in his performance so far.
Do you think that Plot has closed the gap a little bit against Keckeisen?
No,
You don't think so?
no.
8-3
Uh,
with 3-point takedowns. I mean, he took him down twice. I don't know. If
he,
Dustin Plot I think had a takedown in this match and it was like 9-6, I'd be like, wow, like that's a lot more competitive than I expected. But
Plot
I
gave
still
up a
think despite
stone.
well, yeah, well, I think still despite the scoring of it being like 8-3 and not a major, I think Dustin Plot still has a ways to go and Parker still just controlled the match.
Yeah, like I thought Parker looked really, really good. And I never once thought Plot was gonna.
Beat him.
Yeah, I never thought that Plot was gonna beat him. So,
Yeah.
um, I don't think I don't think 1 year is gonna be enough for David Taylor to get Plot to the point where he could knock off Kekheisen or
We'll
Carter.
see. Well, maybe not Carter, but
If Kekheisen is right there in an overtime match with Carter, I think Plot would need to be able to beat either of them.
Carter's gonna make big strides this season. I know it.
Carter's gonna make big strides. All right, moving on up. 197. You got,
Notably missing AJ Ferrari.
yeah, yeah, we did mention this before. AJ, he got afraid of his buddy Zach Glazier, who's here with South Dakota State.
I think he ducked.
The 3 seed. Yeah, I mean AJ definitely ducked.
I mean, so like
He's
I
boasting about being like in the gym and whatnot, and I don't care. You can't be claiming injury. Come on.
yeah, I mean, so the AJ thing really, you know, I wrote it down. I'm trying to see exactly what I said. Well, it doesn't matter. I know what I. So his entire team goes 9 out of 10 guys. Not to disrespect CSU Bakersfield, they're not a top program in America. And I'll get back to that why that's important in a second. AJ is never shy to post on social media. He's, supposedly gets hurt at practice, and then he does a clinic the next day in New Jersey, and then he is doing a workout in Brewster, New York, the day after that while the tournament's going on. So, one, how hurt are you if you can do a clinic and workout? Two, who is the monster in the CSU Bakersfield room that hurt you? Because they took third to last at the CKLV, with most of their guys getting, swept. So who is the guy in that room that was able to injure the strongest, fastest, slickest, quickest 197 to ever live?
In the lab.
So hurt that you can't wrestle in this event. Yet when you wrestled for like Oklahoma State, who objectively had a better room when you were there, never got that hurt that you had to miss a match with them until you got into your car accident for drag racing.
Yeah, yeah.
So, like, what is it, man? Are you ducking? For all this talk. And there's people that are like, well, why would AJ work so hard to get back if he's just going to duck? He didn't. He didn't work hard. He had plenty of opportunities to wrestle in freestyle events and open tournaments, unattached, unrostered, for the last few years. Didn't do it. And then, oh, he worked so hard. Yeah, he went to the only team that would take him because he's a leper, And I think looking at this bracket, the more I look at the bracket, the more I'm unimpressed by the two wins he's had this season, with his biggest win being over Nick Stemmet, who he beat 5-0 after telling, last time I almost teched you and I was going to beat you. I'm
Well,
going to beat you by even more this
hold
time.
on. Did you let everyone know what Stemmet placed?
Oh, yeah, he didn't. Yeah. So Stemmet, let me see if I could find his name in this bracket. There he is.
Lost
He
5-1 at night.
he went 3-2, getting majored by Luke Serber and having just about the same score against Joey Novak as AJ Ferrari did with him.
Hmm.
So, not, and it's not to be like, oh, Nick Stemmet, like, he's not the problem. It's AJ's only notable win this year over anybody that's ranked is Nick Stemmet when he won by not a major. And then Stemmet doesn't even place in a bracket that features some of the better guys at 197.
Right.
And my pick, Jacob Cardenas, absolutely dominated this bracket.
Well, and you know who didn't dominate was Zach Glazier,
Yeah.
South Dakota State. The
And
three,
Glazier gave Ferrari all he could have.
an overtime match, and he got beat 8-2 in the quarters, getting
Mhm.
upset, and then he
The
follows that
Northwestern game.
performance up with another loss to Volkner, 5-1 to not place. I was honestly really impressed with Luke Serber.
Yeah. Oh, hey, Oklahoma State.
He beats Camden McDaniel 9-4. He loses a tight one with Andy Smith 4-3. Um, and then he goes up to take third. Like he beats Stemmet, he beat Christian Carroll, he didn't beat Trey Munoz, but he got a med forfeit over Trey Munoz, and then he injured Novak.
Yeah.
So, you know, still pretty great that he was able to work back. Like
I just,
very surprising. And yeah, you were right. Cardenas killed it. Like he had bonus every single
yeah.
match.
I mean, he just looked so
Lights out.
great. I mean,
Yeah.
Tech over Harvard, Tech over Columbia. Maybe not as impressive. Tech in the first period over Christian Carroll.
Yeah, that's wild.
And then he majors Andy Smith, and he was trying to get the takedown in the end as well. He was trying for the Tech.
Yeah.
He majors Andy Smith 12-0, and then what does he do? He's already got a major secured, and then he pins Evan Bates
Yeah.
in the second period. He's up 8-0, pins him. I mean, this guy had just a great tournament.
He really did.
3 techs, a major, and a pin.
I wish Trey Munoz wasn't so injury prone.
Yeah, I would love to have seen Trey Munoz, wrestle against Cardenas, because if Cardenas could like do the same kind of damage that he's been doing, I was like, wow, man, just give this guy the award already.
Yeah.
And
But
he was one of the few bright spots for Michigan, honestly. I think Michigan didn't have the
he
best
was like
tournament.
the only bright
Yeah.
spot.
Well, they had an eighth, 2/8, 2/7, and a first, and their first dominated it.
Yeah. Cardenas was the pride and joy of Michigan. And I
Yeah.
don't know how much of that is Michigan's doing. All right, moving on up. Last weight here, 285. Corey Day doesn't have a good day
No,
or a good weekend. 5 seed doesn't place. That's a shame.
that's too bad.
Um, unfortunate, but Wyatt Hendrickson, Oklahoma State.
He's
Honestly,
looking good, man.
Wyatt has looked so much better this year than last year. Like last year, first round of NCAAs, he almost got upset.
Yeah.
Like this year, he looks like on the top of his game, as good as he could ever be. And the pin in the finals, like he gets the takedown, he spins behind, Trumbull starts to sort of sit out, and he just pancakes him to his back and pins him. It was like, wow, that is some like next level knowledge to recognize that position was opening up and able to take advantage of that. And Trumbull is proving to be definitely an all-American
Top guy for
contender.
sure.
For like he has 2 wins over Colton Schultz this year, including a 9-0 major this year.
Yep.
Like that is a very impressive performance. I mean, I was very interested in the Hendrickson Feldman match, but considering he injured him in the first minute,
Yeah, after being up 6-0.
yeah, that's like okay. I mean,
But
not
man,
exactly getting to see that match, but then again, if Feldman before the injury was, at 100%, the last time Feldman wrestled Greg, it
it
was
was
only
close. Yeah.
1-0. So maybe,
I think we're gonna see not a lot of Feldman this year. I think that he's hurt again, and
I mean, that worked for him last year though. He missed like a month, I feel like, because he was
Yeah.
injured.
I don't
Uh,
know. I think his neck's giving him issues, but Wyatt dominated though.
well, also,
Basically 4 pins in a tech. I mean, if you're gonna call the Nick Feldman match that by
so
point wise, it's a pin.
I just pulled up the match because I didn't get a chance to see it. Wyatt is huge
Oh
compared
my
to
God, enormous.
Feldman. And like he shoots in, and Feldman actually almost like takes
Crumbles.
well, no, takes Wyatt to his back, but Wyatt fights him right back over and gets the easy takedown. Like I that's it. That was Feldman's got skills. He's just undersized compared to Wyatt.
Yeah, I mean, we've said that. I think that, you know, one of the kids I used to coach wrestled at prep nationals with Feldman, and he was like, he's actually much shorter than I realized. I go, well, how tall is he? He's like, he's really like he's gonna, and I remember this vividly. He says he's gonna have a hard time being a 285.
Right.
And we're kind of seeing that. I mean, like Wyatt is big. We'll
So
be honest.
Wyatt, sorry to interrupt, but Wyatt
Hey,
pictures him running a butcher.
not a high level, not the move you'd expect at that level.
He was just on top, cranked the arm, pulled on it, and as he started to get turned, Feldman just started going like waving for injury, and then he's just laying there. And I know he doesn't continue because of the timing of the match. So that's interesting.
Mhm.
Go ahead, go on. Yeah.
No, I think Wyatt is gonna be someone that has a lot of. I mean, not Wyatt. Um. Oh gosh, Nick Feldman.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's someone that has a lot of talent. I just think that we won't see him fully reach that at 285. I wonder how he'll do at 97 kilo for freestyle. Maybe like the next Kyle Snyder-esque wrestler. He's
Yeah.
got a similar build, similar Ohio State background, um, kind of similar style of wrestling, but not a full size 285. And while Kyle was able to make it work, I don't think Nick Feldman can. But also, I think that the 285 class now is a lot tougher than when Kyle wrestled.
Mm,
I mean, yes, he had Gwiz, and that was a big win, and then beating Adam Kuhn was big as well, but
yeah.
these aren't the same type of athletes we're seeing now.
Now, like honestly, watching Wyatt so far this year, like honestly, I think he's gonna give Greg a run for his money for one.
Yeah,
And I don't think Yonger is gonna be able to beat Wyatt again.
probably not. That's why I picked Ben Keeter to place above Younger.
Well, I don't think
We'll
that
see. We'll see.
they're necessarily linked. Um, honestly, I could see the NCAA finals being Hendrickson on Gable.
Boo. How about Jimmy Mullen? So he was a guy that is kind of trying to do the same thing as Ben Keeter, where he's like, I'll do football and I'll wrestle, but he's not the same caliber football player that Ben Keeter is. And I remember him committing after being a world medalist. And he's like, yeah, I'm gonna do both for Virginia Tech. And I was like, I gotta see it. So I went to his like ESPN portal or his 24/7 portal for sports, and it has like a score for and a star ranking for their football playing. I think he was like a 2.5 or 3 star.
Oh,
Like
wow.
not I was like, dude, like you're the top heavyweight in America. Like, why not just focus on wrestling? And still, despite giving 50% effort, because he's bound, like even let's just say 50-50, he's still a guy that's taken fourth at the CKLV.
Yeah,
So, it's just interesting, like
that's solid.
how these guys are going to do if they continue, if like Ben Keeter, for example, Jimmy Mullen too, if they say, wow, like, my football results are good. Maybe they're great. But with the amount of time I'm putting into wrestling, I'm still performing at the top level. Do I want to continue to do both? And for Ben Keeter, he probably will. Apparently, he's a pretty dang good football player. I don't know the same about Jimmy Mullen.
Yeah, I guess
And Virginia Tech, one thing we didn't talk about with Virginia Tech, how friggin' terrible is TJ Stewart?
oh yeah,
He's 0-4.
we skipped over it. Well, and even Latona didn't do good.
Yeah, I mean, I think Latona at least took sixth.
Yeah, I mean, he did place, but
But
like
Stewart is
without
0
Caleb
4 in the
Henson, that
season.
team was in
Yeah.
shatters.
But
Shatters.
TJ Stewart, All American, fourth seed. He hasn't won a match yet this year. He's 0 4.
Maybe he's having an Eddie Ventresca year and he's actually like injured or something.
And he'll come back better next year.
Yeah, like next year he'll be like lights out title contender, but this year he's just he shouldn't even be starting.
I'd like to
So,
see.
yeah.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, so there you have it. There was CKLV 2024. A pretty exciting tournament. I mean, definitely the coming out party for Oklahoma State.
Oh yeah, the secret's out now. I mean,
I'm definitely excited to see how Oklahoma State does this season, which already starting off really strong. These guys are looking really, really good. Um, Top to bottom, like guys that last year were like NCAA qualifiers and whatnot, and you knew that they were only going to maybe win one match. Now it seems like they could be pushing for All-American or around a 12, which is somewhat surprising.
yeah.
So comment down below. Let us know your thoughts. What matchups did you really enjoy, or upsets that you didn't expect, or what you think? We love to hear from you. And as always, thanks again for watching Cactus Wrestling.
Thanks for watching. We are Cactus Wrestling, and we'll see you next time on our next video.